Once a year, I take off my philosopher hat and put on my film critic hat. This is that time. My 15 favorite and 15 most disliked films of 2017. First things first, this is not Academy voting, it's just one person's favorites. If you disagree, that's normal. Second, most of the year's best foreign films have not hit American theaters or Blu-ray yet, so my apologies for a lot of my list being English language centric. Let's start with the best before we get to the worst. Number 15, Lady Macbeth. Based on the 19th century short story, Lady Macbeth is a minimalist period piece, a costume drama of only a few characters that tackles patriarchal roles and class systems. Excellent performances by actors bringing out pain and violence under their proper fashionable exteriors. Number 14, The Beguiled. And speaking of minimalist period pieces with only a few characters, Sofia Coppola's latest is a devastating American Civil War era drama about a woman's only recourse against a dangerous man. The director crafts a film that is restrained, careful, and intimate, not to mention both beautiful and purposefully uncomfortable. I Am Not Your Negro, an excellent documentary on the life of writer and social critic James Baldwin. We receive a deep dive into his life, his thoughts, his passions, and his criticisms about American life, particularly race relations. Number 12, The Ornithologist. A Portuguese film that had its release in its home country a year prior, but did not see my home until 2017, so I am counting it. A birdwatcher is stranded in a forest where he encounters mysterious figures that change his perceptions. Gorgeous, frightening, comical, this movie is everything. Number 11, Logan. Easily the best superhero film of the year, sorry Thor. Logan is a road movie about more than the end of a franchise, but about the end of a life. Regrets, mistakes, a single thread of hope. Intense and captivating, more films of its subgenre should take these risks. Number 10, The Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro does it again. He creates a fairy tale world that is both fantastic and believable, otherworldly and trapped within the confines of our social politics. Deeply engrossing and completely fearless. Number 9, Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is not going to go the way you think, says Luke Skywalker. A lesson for those in movie fandoms who attach godhood status to their fictional characters and deify icons. The Last Jedi tears down preconceptions about the franchise and delivers an incredible action-adventure film. Number 8, The Square. A Swedish film about the lives of people who work at a museum. It sounds dry, and it is. Until it isn't. Dramatic twists and turns, awkward sex talk in public, and a real heart makes this film something special. Number 7, The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Yorgos Lanthimos has yet to make a bad film. He makes challenging films, he makes films that might not be everyone's cup of tea, but he always reaches for something brilliant, something ambitious. Beginning as a family drama and ending as an honest-to-God horror film, The Killing of a Sacred Deer is deeply disturbing and hilarious at the same time. A difficult rope to walk. Number 6, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Quite possibly the best cast of any film in 2017. Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, Frances McDormand, and Peter Dinklage all give Oscar-worthy performances and craft complicated characters on screen. A crime movie that is a gut punch and a belly laugh, so a Martin McDonagh film. Number 5, Okja. Bong Joon-ho is one of our greatest living directors, not just greatest Korean directors. Okja is easily recognizable as the director's style, social commentary as told by over-the-top characters and situations. You will never see Jake Gyllenhaal look like he is having a better time than in this film. Number 4, Get Out. Never have I seen a movie theater more invested in what was happening on screen and rooting for the protagonist any stronger than in Get Out. Jordan Peele's social horror film is absolutely amazing and should be on everyone's best of list. Number 3, Blade Runner 2049. I waited my whole life to see this movie and it did not disappoint. Visually stunning and gut-wrenchingly painful, Blade Runner 2049 is the sequel that people did not know they needed but was entirely welcome when it arrived. Number 2, Mother. Terribly divisive and admittedly for a good reason. Darren Aronofsky's latest is self-indulgent and maddening, and I love it. Rarely have I been so gripped by the events on screen. Love it or hate it, everyone will have a strong reaction to Mother. Number 1, I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Macon Blair, longtime collaborator of Jeremy Saulnier, completely hits it out of the park in his first feature directorial debut. Sad and raw and thrilling, I have never cared more about characters this year than while watching this excellent film. And now the worst. Number 15, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Oh, how I wished this could be the spiritual successor of 90s goofball action schlock movie The Fifth Element. Instead, it's a meandering mess of ideas with annoying characters and two leads who have no chemistry. Alright, so it's a little like The Fifth Element, but it's awful. Number 14, The Great Wall. Based on the trailers, we thought it might be another insensitive white savior film, but it actually turned out to be Chinese military propaganda, troubling on another level altogether. It's also dull as dishwater and features some of the worst CGI in a big-budget motion picture in 2017. Number 13, Kong Skull Island. Filmed with a shotgun and edited in a blender, the latest King Kong movie is a blur of fight sequences with an emphasis on style but with no connective tissue that gives that style any weight. In fact, everything feels weightless and empty in this on-the-nose Vietnam allegory / cinematic universe builder. Number 12, Justice League. Based on the troubled production and complete lack of cohesive vision in the previous installments, Justice League was more entertaining than it had any right to be, but it was still terrible. A train wreck plummeting into the ocean and through the Earth's core, Justice League is only watchable to notice the flaws and erasable mustache lines. Number 11, Geostorm. I had my own private joke playing in my head while watching this movie. I pretended that the main character's name was Jeremy Geostorm and he was a loose cannon detective who also happened to be a scientist. It was more fun than following the plot. Number 10, King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword. A bad music video pretending to be an equally bad movie. King Arthur is a bro with a heart of gold who is also the special and nobody wants to watch a King Arthur movie in 2017. Number 9, 50 Shades Darker. If this film does anything of note, it's that it finds a way to be worse than the original, which is nearly a Herculean feat. I Can Change Him, the movie part 2 is the stain in your sheets that won't come off. Number 8, Underworld Blood Wars. My friends asked me to come see this with them, and I am still plotting my revenge. The grayest, most washed out movie of the year, complete with we're vampires but we're modern and cool nonsense that stopped being hip around the time of the original Underworld, which I just checked and that was 14 years ago. A franchise nobody cares about getting sequels is as disappointing as it is inexplicable. Number 7, The Mummy. Tom Cruise kisses the mummy to death and his best friend comes back to life. Now you don't have to watch it. Number 6, Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The only reason this half-cooked animated cash-in on a mostly distant property is not higher on the list is because it achieved badness on a level that is at least comical. Everyone is animated like they just looked into the Ark of the Covenant. Number 5, Transformers: The Last Knight. How can a movie with so much bombast and cacophony and so much going on also at the same time have a paper-thin plot? There is so much going on and there is nothing going on. Michael Bay has wisely moved on from this franchise, and he left by throwing a grenade in his wake towards whatever credibility it had left. Number 4, Bright. Social commentary by centrists. Allegory by brainless hacks. Subversion for people who use the Blue Lives Matter counter hashtag. We should burn this movie, but it only exists on Netflix. Number 3, The Snowman. It's not even done! We're watching the dailies from a movie that isn't finished yet, but rushed into theaters to recoup its losses. It's not done. I would much rather spend money on a documentary about how this movie even got made than the actual movie. Number 2, The Emoji Movie. Not one joke was funny. Not one. This is the nadir of franchise building cinema. It's not only dreck in and of itself, but it might be a portent of things to come. And number 1, The Book of Henry. A cloying, embarrassingly saccharine family movie that becomes a crime movie but never loses the tone of a cloying, embarrassingly saccharine family movie. If nothing else, people will be laughing at the deep, dark badness of the Book of Henry for all time, stretching out into infinity. And that's it. If I did not mention a movie you liked or disliked, please don't ask, what about this? Instead, talk about this in the comments rather than wondering why it did not make either list. I will see you shortly for a more conventional episode soon.